This video is a Fork Pitch production in conjunction with Midwest Digital AV Incorporated.
Hi, I'm Chef Jovi for Fork Pitch, and today I'm going to be making a Peruvian-style chaufa. Chaufa is a Peruvian fried rice, and it is a very common and delicious staple of Peruvian cuisine, and something very easy to make at home. The star of this chaufa is going to be this. This is ají amarillo. Ají amarillo is what really denotes this as Peruvian, as it's a very staple ingredient in Peruvian cuisine. It comes in fresh, it comes in frozen form, or in this paste form like what I'm using. Every Peruvian grandmother I know has a jar or some frozen peppers of this to make their home cuisine. It has a little bit of spicy note to it, it has a nice umami, and it really, really will make a dish feel Peruvian and taste Peruvian. So accompanying the ají amarillo in the flavor base of this chaufa, we're going to use this mixture of soy sauce and fish sauce. Fish sauce is renowned because it stinks to high heaven, but it has this wonderful umami that really gives flavor to a dish and gives it that nice bassy note that you want. I use about a tablespoon of each, and then I have sesame oil, about 2 tablespoons, and that's going to be used for frying our aromatics. And for the aromatics, we're going to be using green onions, some ginger, some garlic. And though generally you want to uniformly dice things so that they all kind of come together in a homogeneous mixture, I actually like to vary the textures so that when you're eating all of these things, you do get varied textures. And also it's a lot less precise knife work, and I'm kind of lazy, so that always works out great. Additionally, we're going to be using some Polish-style kielbasa. Kielbasa is a really nice sausage, very fatty, and it will add a little bit of flavor to this dish from the sausage rendering, and it's also very nice to chew on. And, you know, bringing in another ingredient that's not necessarily Peruvian does kind of relate back to the idea that Peruvian food is this blending of all these different cultures. And I really, really like the flavor that kielbasa brings to the dish. And the reason I bring up using non-traditional ingredients and kind of blending cultures is because in the 19th century, Peru had a bunch of Chinese and Japanese immigrants come in addition to the Spanish that were already there and the indigenous people, and they've all really left their own distinct mark on the cuisine. And you see a lot of different ingredients, a lot of variation, and this giant blending of cultures that is so distinct to Peru and to the flavors of the food. So I'm never pressured to use traditional ingredients because Peruvian food is so blended and everyone makes it completely differently. Rounding out the dish, there's going to be some red onion, we have some lime that we're going to juice on top, and then we're going to use this rice that was made the previous day and has been sitting in the fridge. The reason this rice is noteworthy is because of a couple things. One, most of the time when you prepare rice, most people rinse the rice. In Peruvian cuisine, at least the way my grandmother did it, and I've seen other people do it, is you don't really rinse the rice to get rid of the excess starch. That excess starch, when you're cooking it later, really does add a nice texture, kind of puffs up more, and the rice itself tastes better, in my opinion, than unwashed rice. Additionally, we use short grain rice, which is more traditional and something you'd see like a risotto in Italian, which gives rice a really nice mouthfeel and creamy texture. And when you're frying it, it's going to do the same thing where you have these fat, short grains that really have a beautiful mouthfeel and taste delicious in your mouth. In the base of this pot, I have added in the sesame oil, and I also added just a touch of olive oil because I like the earthy notes of the olive oil, and they do give a nice little flavor. So we're going to wait till the oil is just smoking. Oil's smoke point is obviously when it begins to burn, and when you hit that smoke point, it's the time you want to put all your aromatics in, your vegetables. They do get nice color, and they are going to have their caramelization and taste good. The oil has just started to smoke. You can see like the little tendrils coming off of it. And so I'm going to add in garlic. I'm going to add in some green onions. And I'm going to add in some ginger. These are all just really nice aromatics, and they are going to make your kitchen smell delicious, and they're also going to cook down a little bit. So these are going to cook for about 30 seconds to a minute. I don't want to put too much color on them because I'm going to be adding other things into the dish as well. I just want them to get hot, and I want the oil to come back up to temp so that the next thing we add in also gets color, gets caramelized, and adds flavor to the dish. Alright, these are beginning to caramelize, so I'm going to move all of these to the side of the pot because if you move them to the side of the pot, the center of the pot is what's getting heat. I'm going to pull some oil to the center, make sure that that's coming out, and then I'm going to add in my sausage. And unlike the aromatics, which I wanted to move constantly, I'm going to leave this sausage just as is. And that's because I want it to get brown on the side that is touching the pot, and that's going to give more flavor and more distinction to the dish. Another thing about the sausage is going to have that delicious rendering smell. You know, there's a lot of fat in sausage products generally. When it cooks, when it renders, it really has a wonderful fragrance. And then when you put color on fat, it gives a distinct flavor. Alright, so some of the sausage pieces have gotten their color, they're caramelizing. I'm going to add in the red onion next. And so the reason we do aromatics first is they add a lot of flavor to the dish. Then we do the meat because it's going to take a little longer to cook. And then the onions go last because I don't want to cook the life out of them. I want them to have texture. I want them to kind of still be nice and crunchy when the dish is finished. And so along with that, I'm going to move them around a little bit until they sweat more. And this is where the lid kind of comes in. You just want to cover this for probably a minute while the onions are initially cooking. And it's going to create steam in the pot. Steam is the enemy of caramelization. You don't want to cover a pot if you want to put good color on a dish. But we've already put color on the sausage, we've already put color on the aromatics, so the onions are going to have a different texture. Okay, so right now you can see I kind of killed the heat generally. After you stop wanting to cook caramelization, you turn the heat into a lower bracket. So this is all the aromatics, this is the meat, this is the red onion, this is the base of flavor. And now we're going to add the rice to the dish, and we're going to treat the rice well, and it's going to bring the entire chaufa together. Stale rice is going to clump, stale rice is going to make a mess. It might jump out of the pot at you because it is warm, but using this flat side, I'm going to chop this into the dish, mix it all together. Can you give me some cilantro from the garden really fast? Totally didn't think of that. Okay. And I'm going to drop this to low, and then we're going to add in the fish sauce and the soy sauce. And you want to make sure you add in fish sauce not directly at the end, or else it doesn't cook down and it doesn't get the nice flavor. Instead, you're just going to get that really fishy taste. Last but not least, I'm going to add some de ají amarillo. And I'm probably going to use this entire thing. And so this is going to give color to the dish, but it also is going to give that Peruvian flavor. It's going to add spice, and so the dish is going to be light. It's going to be spicy, and when we hit it with the lime, it's going to be that nice acidic spice that you really do associate with Peruvian food. All of that is mixed in, and I'm going to cover this thing to steam for a couple seconds. Just kill the heat before you do that. Good. And that should be ready in about 2 minutes. So for garnishes, we're going to hit it with some lime to finish, and I'm also going to squeeze some lime on the top of the dish because I am Hispanic and that is what we do with everything. I'm also going to use some of the cilantro we have here from our gardens here at Pork Pitch. And I'm just going to do like a really quick, neat dice on it, and this together. And once again, since it's more of a homey dish, I'm not really worried about uniformity. I just want something that adds a nice little color to it and a nice little flavor. And with herbs, especially fresh ones, if you're going to add something to the dish, which I'm going to add about half of this, you don't want to add anything until the very end because they will wilt, they lose their color, they lose their brightness, and you kind of just lose the point of adding fresh herbs in the first place. Cilantro goes in, lime goes in, and lime juice is a twofold point. One, it adds a lot of flavor and it adds a wonderful limey note. Who doesn't love lime? But also, when you add the lime juice, it brings down the temperature of the dish. And bringing down the temperature ceases the cooking process, so things don't overcook, things don't undercook. And now you can see this dish has like a really lovely orangey yellow flavor to it. The cilantro is speckled in there. You got the color from the sausage and from the onions, and it's just really attractive. And it kind of looks almost like a saffron rice, but it's not saffron at all. It's ají amarillo. I'm just gonna plate the ají amarillo in this cute little bowl. So just literally take a scoop of it. This is not a fancy fine dining dish. This is just a homey Peruvian meal. Make sure you get some onion. Make sure you get some sausage. Make sure you get some of that fresh cilantro. And then I'm going to finish this with just a little bit of the cilantro on top for garnish. And I'm also going to hit it with another squeeze of lime because lime is delicious and I always want the flavor. And with that, my Peruvian style chaufa is finished.
Visit fortpitch.com for curated content in a culinary marketplace. Midwest Digital AV Incorporated provides audio, video, streaming, and production services throughout the Midwest. Please visit them at midwestdigitalcorp.com.